On the farthest outskirts of a small town stood an abandoned building that all the locals shunned. It had once been an orphanage, but after an inexplicable incident, the children had stopped showing up. The story of this place passed from mouth to mouth, and those who once dared to touch the ivy-covered walls came back with hysterical memories. One day, a group of teenagers decided to test their courage and spend the night in an abandoned orphanage. They gathered secretly from the adults, took candles, flashlights, and cell phones to document their adventures. Under the cover of night, with the moon shining only faintly, they made their way into the ominous building. The stairs creaked under their weight, as if the old castle was expressing its displeasure at the disturbance. The rooms were dead silent, and only the light of the lanterns slowly shifted the shadows along the walls. They jokingly tried to conjure something supernatural, but the deeper they penetrated into the abandoned corridors, the quieter their voices became. When they reached the basement, the atmosphere around them changed. The air became heavy, as if someone was watching their every move. They lit candles and began to explore the room. In the corner of the cellar stood an old doll in a tattered dress. Her eyes seemed alive in the candlelight. Suddenly, one of the doors slammed shut, defying the wind. The noise caused their hearts to swoon. Several hours passed, and the teens began to sense that something was wrong. Their flashlights flickered and shadows began to take shapes, creating living silhouettes on the walls. Suddenly, the lights went out and the sound of footsteps echoed throughout the basement. They froze in terror, trying to figure out what was happening. Suddenly, a childlike figure emerged from the darkness, slowly approaching. She wore a dusty white dress, her hair covered in cobwebs. Her eyes were empty, but stared at the teens as if searching for something in their souls. The teens tried to escape, but were trapped in the basement like a trap. Suddenly, the room was filled with whispers, the words of which were incomprehensible but gave me goosebumps. The children's figure began to rise slowly into the air, becoming transparent. Images of their own fears and nightmares began to replay around the teenagers. They were immersed in a world of horror and hopelessness. Suddenly, everything went quiet. The figure vanished into thin air, and the teenagers found themselves outside the abandoned house as if nothing had happened. They dispersed in silence, no one daring to discuss the horror they had experienced. The building, however, continued to stand on the edge of the town, keeping its dark secrets and leaving behind only faint echoes of past fears.